What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing a tutorial, but a bit of a different tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you the basics of Clickteam Fusion. Now, I plan on making this tutorial series for the main version of Clickteam Fusion. So no extra assets, no developer mode, no 2.5 plus mode. But I do have developer and 2.5 plus. I'm just gonna have to be careful not to use any of those features. So you'll be greeted with something similar to this screen when first installing it. So go on to new application. First thing you're going to want to do is you're probably going to go into the workspace toolbar if it's not there, view, workspace, click on this, and then down here, if you don't have properties, go into properties, go to this window, the one with the old school computer, and set these to 1920 and 1080. This is generally the size you want your game to be. Other options you should tweak are going back here, going to full screen. If you want your game to be stuck in full screen, you can do change resolution mode. What that will do is, as you can see, there's no bar up there. If it isn't checked, we have a bit of a bar up there. Now, a good one to put, basically needed, is resize display to fill window size. Because everyone has a differently sized monitor, so you want your application to be just right for that. Now, depending on what kind of a game it is, this will kind of stretch it out. So if you're doing like a pixel art game, that's not a good thing. So what you're gonna want to do is fit inside black bars, and then change the border color to black. You shouldn't have to do the black bars thing if you are making like an actual art game. Like, no. Basically, if you're fine with your stuff stretching a bit on some screens, then you know. Now, I would like to know, if you are using the free edition of Clickteam, you cannot export to an application, but that's fine. I would recommend starting with the free version anyway, just to try it out and get used to it. Here we go. Here's the frame, the main frame right here. Now, this is where you put all your stuff. So if you right click, press insert object, or simply double click, you have all these objects, which I'll get into most of them in future videos. But the main thing you're gonna wanna use is, almost always, you're gonna use actives. I can't think of a game where you wouldn't use an active. These are basically just images. So, you know, sprites, so this would be your player, your everything. You can use this to import a file. This is the different directions. That's a bit complicated though, and this is just a basics video. If you go up here, you have a paint mode. You can select an active and paint it. Now, these are not actual clones of the object. These are what we would call duplicates. So basically, if you change one of them, it changes all of them. So basically, they don't have different functions. They function all the same. You can also clone or boom, that's a different object now, so they have different properties. Or you can duplicate, which is the same thing as paint mode. You can also enable a grid, which just snaps to a grid, which you can change here. So, you know, 128 by 128 grid. This is for pixel games. You know, do 128 by 120 if you want to do that. Just make it the right grid. So as you can see here, now it snaps to a grid. If you are making a pixel art game, this is basically necessary. Now, if you go on to here, you will see the event editor. This is where you do all the coding. And also the event list. This can be useful in some cases, but I'm not going to use that here. If you go into new condition, you'll see that you have your object right here, named active. But let's rename that player, because it's very bad to not rename your actives and stuff. I've gotten in the habit of not doing that. I've been trying to get better though. So in the new condition, you can check if something's happening. So there's special, you know, always comparing to stuff. There's samples, so you can check if an audio file isn't playing. There's the checkerboard, which can check if it's the start or the end, or, you know. The timer, which is basically you can just start a timer. So then you can do an object and the keyboard, see what key the player is pressing, and whatever this is. Let's just say every 1 second. So this will occur every second. So let's also put another insert, and we can do if okay, so we also, if you have an active object, I'm gonna explain that a bit. You have collisions, so if you collide with another active object, or really any other object. Movement, which we'll get into in a later video. The position, the direction, the animation, you know, all of this. So for this event, we're going to test if the player is getting close to the window's edge by, let's say, 10 pixels. Then it will go here, and now we can set the Y coordinate to a value, so you could just do whatever you want, but position Y coordinate plus 50. So this will just make the object go down every second if it's not close enough to the border. As you can see, it's getting too close to the border, so it won't go down anymore. Now let's go over the properties tab for like actives and stuff. So you have the display options. If you want it to be visible at start, that's pretty obvious, just if it's visible or not. I'm not sure what all of that is, but you can do an effect. But we're not going to go into effects, that's a bit complicated. Blend coefficient, the higher number, the more transparent it'll be. Obviously, you can change that in the event editor too, at certain times. A transition, so if you want it to fade in. Then, there we go, it fades in. The position, the size, and the angle. Let's say the angle is 90. Now let's do a bit of a more random angle, 70. obviously the size, the position on the screen, which changes with this, the movement, so you can do stuff like 8 directions, and then if you press the arrow keys, you can control your players with the arrow keys. But this is not the tutorial we're going for. So, the runtime options, these are actually quite important. So if you want it to be created at start, now it's not created at start. If you want to destroy the object if too far from frame, if it's like a player or something, you don't want to do that. So that means, like, let's say it hits here. Say it hits here, it will probably disappear because it's too far from the frame. But you don't want that. If you want fine detection, which is basically for the collisions action, if you want it to check if the pixels are touching another object's pixels, or if you just want to check the hitbox is. So that little blue line square thing around it. Now you can ignore all of that. Values, multiple values, strings, flags. Very important stuff. Qualifiers. So this is basically just a group of objects. You know, if you want 2 objects, so let's say we have 2 of these completely different objects with completely different properties. But now we have grouped up player to position, and now that will do it for the entire group. So even though they're completely different objects, you know, and I'll show that with like a different size or something. The 12 by 55. Yeah, they're completely different objects, yet they're doing the same action because they're in the same group. If I were to delete that, as you can see, it doesn't follow that. Alright. And then this just allows you to change this and stuff like that. And the name and all of that. Now, that is all for the general introduction to Clickteam. I will probably do another tutorial tomorrow on a bit more advanced stuff. Not too advanced, just more things you're gonna need to make a game. But yeah. That's all for this tutorial. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Anyway, bye guys.